Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive, and I'm Meghna Dekha. Well, viewers, we'll ask you a simple question. Is India being denied a level playing field when they play in Australia? Well, I ask you this question because time and again, India's tour of Australia is always marred with controversies, and we often hear a cliche that history repeats itself. But when it comes to Test cricket in Australia, it's not a cliche anymore. On the fifth day of the fourth day of the Border Gavaskar Trophy, India's hope to stay afloat was on the young shoulders of a 23-year-old Yashasvi Jaiswal, who was playing a knock that could have steered India back into the game. Well, Jaiswal had held the fort with 84 runs to his name before he was unfairly, as many have called it, unfairly dismissed by a controversial decision by the third umpire. Well, Australia has reviewed an on-field caught-behind decision in which Jaiswal was not given out by the umpire, the on-field umpire. Later, the third umpire overturned the decision irrespective of the snickometer showing absolutely no edge. Meanwhile, the controversial decision of Yashasvi's dismissal has now triggered off a massive row. BCCI Vice President Rajiv Shukla has come out in Jaiswal's support. Taking to social media, he has said that Jaiswal was unfairly given out and questioned the third umpire's decision. Listen in, however, to how skipper Rohit Sharma and former cricketers are now responding to Yashasvi's dismissal.
With the naked eye, it seemed that he did touch something. So I don't know how the umpires want to use the technology. But in all fairness, I think he did touch the ball. But again, look, it's about the technology, which we all know is not 100%. But again, like I said, we don't want to really look too much into that. It's just that we are more often than not, we are the ones falling on the wrong side of it. So it has been happening since India. But yeah, that's where I feel we've been a little unfortunate.
यशस्वी जायसवाल का था, वो आउट नहीं था। मैं भी मैच देख रहा था, तो मैंने उसमें जो स्नोकोमीटर है उसमें तो क्लियर था कि टच नहीं किया, लेकिन वो थर्ड अंपायर का फैसला था। तो ठीक है, अब जो मैच का परिणाम आया, अब आगे हम सिडनी टेस्ट की तैयारी कर रहे हैं। लेकिन मेरी एक बात कहनी है, हमारा पर्सनल व्यू ये है कि इस मामले में टेक्निकल कमेटी को, आईसीसी को देखना चाहिए।
The turning point was not Jaiswal getting out. The turning point was when Rishabh Pant got out. But definitely Jaiswal was trying to draw the game. But there was a deflection, big deflection. And the snickometer, they shown the snickometer also. So, you have the third umpire, you have the technology, they have used it, and that's why they're given out, Baki, rest, I think Jaiswal knows better than anybody else.
So what happened in Melbourne cricket ground today is not only shameful, as per many, but a gentle reminder of how the gentleman's game is often disrespected in Australia, as many of the cricketing fans in India will tell you. In fact, let's take you through some of the previous instances when Indians were unfairly dismissed, as per many, in Australia. In fact, in 1981, you'd remember the Melbourne Test, legend Sunil Gavaskar, he was unfairly given leg before wicket. Gavaskar had claimed that the ball had made contact with the bat before hitting the pads. In 2008, Sydney Test, Andrew Symonds had picked up an edge. However, he was not dismissed. Later, the snickometer had showed a spike in a caught-behind situation. In 2008, Sydney Test, Rahul Dravid, he was dismissed in a caught-behind. Replay showed that the ball had flicked Rahul's front knee roll. In 2008 then, in Sydney Test again, it was Sourav Ganguly wrongly dismissed by Brett Lee in a second slip. The ball had bounced in front of the fielder Michael Clarke before he took the catch. In 2024 Perth Test, KL Rahul was unfairly dismissed in a caught-behind situation. He was given out despite inconclusive evidence showing an edge. Again, in 2024, in Melbourne Test, Yashasvi Jaiswal, as we are all discussing, was given out by the third umpire. So let me go across to our panelists. Joining us today on the show, we have Ranjit Bajaj, founder and director of Minerva Cricket Academy. Also joining us is Vedam Jaishankar. I'm going to be coming across to Ranjit Bajaj first. Ranjit, it's very interesting the entire controversy which has now broken out. We just heard Rohit Sharma come out and said, technology cannot always be 100% right. Can humans? Sorry, you need to unmute yourself, Ranjit.
Yes, so sorry for that. So thank you so much for having me, ma'am. Ma'am, I think Rohit's been a little too kind there. And today was the day when it could have changed the match. And that could have changed the series. And that could have made sure we could have got into the World Test Championship final. So it was not just one decision. Because, I heard someone saying earlier that match had already been finished. No, it came at a time when it was so unfair because he's somebody who is, every time he's got a 0, in the next match, in the next innings, he's got a 150 or 100. And by the way, the guy who's got the highest number of runs ever by an opener in one single calendar year in the history of Indian cricket is Jaiswal. So if our best batsman in the history of Indian cricket, I'm talking about as openers, and the numbers say that 1,483 runs in one calendar year, what makes you think he couldn't have put a 150 there on the board? He could have, and that would have won us the match. What happened the last time we were here? It was Rishabh Pant's inning of 89 or 81 not out, which got us through. And he was a no one then, no one knew him. So I think it's a match changer, and I think we should take it up and how come it's happening to us all the time? How come it's never happening to the Aussies? So these are all very pertinent questions which we have to have someone raise up and talk about, because this is being very, very unfair. And I think Rohit is too kind. I would have been fuming with this kind of a thing. It's a match changer.
It's a match changer. Now, Vedam Jaishankar, I just listed out some of the other times when Indian fans had felt that India has been wrongly dismissed, especially when it comes to Australia. Now, you've covered sports for a very, very long time now. Do you think that perhaps Indians don't get a fair playing pitch when it comes to Australia?
We just have to go back slightly when Anil Kumble was a captain in Australia, and he openly said that one team is not playing cricket. We are playing cricket, but one team is not playing cricket. So straight away you knew what was happening.
Yes.
And so this dissatisfaction with what's happening in Australia has been going on for a long time. It's not new. We didn't want this Bangladeshi umpire to do anything different. Just wanted him to follow the rules. What does the law say? The law says if there is no conclusive evidence, then you cannot overturn the on-field umpire's decision. Now, the on-field umpire thought it was not out. The batsman also thought it was not out. Otherwise, he would not have gone back to the umpire and asked what's happening. He was puzzled. Jaiswal was as puzzled because there was no sneakometer reaction. So when you look at this, and put it in sequence, yes, I think we've been hard done in Australia, which is a pity because this would have been a great test.
Absolutely.
When you look at, fighting over 5 days, taking the match into the last session, and if you are pulled off a draw, it would have been a fantastic achievement because it would have meant that you've been fighting with your backs to the wall right through the test, and you've still been able to pull off a draw. It would have been a great thing. I wish the umpire had not interfered at that time and kept quiet and gone according to the laws of the game. If he doesn't have a conclusive evidence, he cannot conjecture that it touched the glove. And if he wanted to say that it touched the glove, he should have shown that from different angles, from a lot of close-ups. Like somebody mentioned, I think it was Sunil Gavaskar who said that touching of the glove is an optical illusion. I understand because
that was Sunil Gavaskar.
The eye sometimes plays tricks on the mind, and sometimes the mind plays tricks on the eye. In this case, I think the mind played tricks on the umpire's eyes, and he didn't go with the technology, which is a tragedy.
And that's very interesting. Why have technology if you don't want to rely on it, Ranjit Bajaj? That's what many people are saying. The reason why you had a third umpire, the days were those when you did not have technology supporting the on-field umpires. That's why there was a need to have a third umpire who could possibly replay those moments and take a fair and just decision on it. But why have technology if the third umpire does not want to rely on it, many ask?
Meghna, you're so right. What's the point of then going, changing the entire system and now saying that we have technology? Why not just eliminate all that, even eliminate no balls being replayed by the third umpire, having all that, because that never used to be there. Now, once you've got that in and then not relying on it, that means, again, you made it very subjective. And that's what we wanted to take out of the game. Make it subjective to someone's interpretation. Like Vedam very rightly said, the tricks being played on his mind. That's the reason technology is there. So if there are any tricks being played on someone's mind, even internally or externally, for that matter, that technology makes sure those tricks are thrown out of the game. Because
absolutely,
what we want. Why did we want technology? We wanted technology for something which the human eye cannot see, and that is why we use that. And then one sudden day, for on the basis of one umpire, you say, I'm not going to use it, then what's the point of having it in the first place?
Well, in fact, Vedam, it's interesting. Earlier in the day, I was speaking to Rajiv Shukla, and he was saying, remember that Sachin Tendulkar incident where he was allegedly wrongly given out? Rajiv Shukla said that right after that incident had happened, he had spoken to Sachin. And Sachin said, let bygones be bygones. There are times when it benefits the other side. There will be times when it benefits us. But there have been a lot of instances like this in the past, isn't it, Vedam? Is there a pattern to this?
No, see, you must understand the mindset of a player. Now, what happens to any player for that matter, in any sport, is you're always looking ahead. You don't want to look back at what happened. If a boxer looks back at how he got pounded, he can't box in the next match. So likewise, if a bowler worries about how he got hammered, he can't bowl in the next match. So you're always looking ahead, whether it is Sachin or it's Rohit Sharma. They don't want to look back. They want to look ahead. They want to start afresh. So I don't blame them at all. That is the mindset of a champion sportsman, and that's the right way to do it. But to allow technology not to be used is ridiculous. Because why is the technology there? To not arrive at the right or the wrong decision, but to arrive at the inevitable decision. Had it been an inevitable decision, you could have understood it. It was not an inevitable decision. It was like Ranjit said, a subjective decision. And there is no way, if 10 people look at it, 5 people will definitely say it's not out. And maybe even 9 people will say it's not out, So the third umpire doing that was actually a travesty of justice. The law was there. He just had to follow the law. And he can't say, I think it must have touched the glove. That's not true. It's only a two-dimensional image over there, And I think it was badly messed up. I wish he hadn't done it. I wish that the test had gone to a conclusion and we would have really seen what would have happened. Whether we could have pulled off a draw, which would have been extraordinary if we had pulled off a draw. That was not to be.
Well, of course, we'd hope that would have been a draw. But Ranjit Bajaj, from here onwards, again, the next step for us to figure out is how do we avoid such problems from the third umpire? Many would say not trusting the technology either ways. What should the ICC, what should the technical committee of the ICC do about this?
See, Meghna, as Vedam rightly said, and even Sachin rightly said that, it evens out. And if it used to even out, we would have had no problem with it. If we would have been the beneficiaries of such great decisions in some time where our batsmen were totally plumb, that means totally out, and technology or otherwise the umpire didn't give it and we were the beneficiaries of it, I would have said, okay, fine. But somehow, Meghna, what has been happening again and again, and somehow it's always in Australia, starting from Sunil Gavaskar's decision in 1981, then going up to Sachin Tendulkar's leg before wicket against McGraw, when we know Sachin is not a tall man and he was right down on his crouches and still being given out LBW, which nobody could even believe there. Then going on to now, even the last series and even now this series. Even now, so this technology was brought in so that these things, what happened to Sunil Gavaskar and 1981, there was no excuses. Now there should be no excuses because you have such cameras who can even pick out the slightest of edges. And now when we've got all that, then you still say that why should the ICC should make it a rule that you have to follow it. There is no second question about it. Yeah, umpires are there to assist the technology. But you cannot have an umpire going on the sense that his senses of either visual senses or his audio senses are better than what technology is. It's not there. No human can match it. That's why it's technology.
Absolutely.
So you've got to start following it as a rule.
To ensure that human errors are negated in the entire process so that the gentleman's game continues to be fair and just. That's the reason why technology has been brought in. Otherwise, we'd still be back to decades back where we were when it comes to umpiring. Why were these changes being introduced? The DRS, for example, you of course have the third umpire, now you have the snickometer today. Why was it introduced? So that it's fair, just, and as Vedam calls it, inevitable results are also given. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, Ranjit Bajaj as well as Vedam Jaishankar for joining us. Well, I believe the debate still continues. Rohit Sharma says that technology isn't always 100% correct, but are human decisions in that case. On that note, a short break.